deliver a full recap of today's game, including highlights from the biggest moments. Listen to Mike Shildt's post-game comments. Plus, we'll bring you today's play of the game. From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
A tough ending for the Padres today in Milwaukee as they fall by a final score of 4-3 in the middle game of this three-game series. Caleb Durbin hitting a walk-off home run in the bottom half of the ninth inning as Milwaukee wins it 4-3. Welcome into our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. Players, kickstart your summer of fun with Jamul Casino Resort's Players Party Saturday, June 14th. Score $20 in free play. Then enjoy live music, DJs, and best of all, free food. See JamulCasino.com for details and get ready to party, play, and win. A lot to do on our post-game coverage as we welcome you into our post-game show on this Saturday. We'll go back to Milwaukee, hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Coming up in just a little bit, we have a full game recap for you, all the highlights, get to your phone calls, much, much more to come. But some thoughts right off the bat after a tough day for the Padres, really a tough ending, tough last three innings for the Padres, who led in this game 1-0 for a while, but the Brewers then tying it in the seventh inning, 2 runs in the eighth inning to take a 3-1 lead. Padres get a huge hit from Luis Arraez in the top of the ninth inning to tie it at 3. And then the very first pitch of the bottom half of the ninth inning from rookie right-hander David Morgan to Caleb Durbin, a pitch up in the zone. In fact, it was above the zone, would have been a ball. And Durbin got all of it to left center field, a walk-off home run to win it for the Brew Crew. Well, we've talked on our post-game coverage the last handful of days throughout this road trip, and we talked about it pregame today. The Padres continue to play a ton of close games, and they continue to play a ton of close games for 2 reasons. On the positive side, they're pitching well. Their bullpen has been really, really good as of late. On the other side of things, a reason they're playing very close games, well, they're not scoring all that many runs on most nights. And when you play so many close games, it leaves very, very little margin for error. And in my opinion, this game here today showcased that little margin for error that exists when you play the types of games the Padres are playing as of late, and when your offense is not clicking on all cylinders. Keep this in mind. On this road trip, now 6 games in, each one of these games has been decided by 1 run or 2 runs. In fact, the 4 games in San Francisco all were 1-run games, and now a 2-run game last night, Padres won. 1-run game here today, Padres lost. And look, when the Padres win these types of games, and they've done that a lot lately, they came into today's game 10 games above 500, game out of first place in the NL West, and they'll stay a game out of first place after tonight. When you win those types of games, we'll give them all the credit in the world, finding ways to win despite not playing their best baseball and offensively, certainly not feeling like they're clicking altogether. But when you lose those games, I think it highlights the sort of dangerous game it is when your offense just isn't scoring a whole lot. Let's look at the 8th and 9th inning in particular in this game. Padres and Brewers tied at 1. Jason Adam comes in. We know Jason Adam hasn't been quite as sharp as of late as he's been really going back to the trade last summer. And overall, not to take anything away from Jason Adam, he's been terrific as a San Diego Padre. But you look at that 8th inning, I think it's a great example of that really, really small margin for error when you're playing these types of games so consistently. And in the 9th inning, it showed itself again. 8th inning first. 1-1 game. 3-2 count on Christian Yelich. Adam walks him. Puts a runner on. Then an infield single for William Contreras went about 70 feet. Nothing Manny Machado could do with it at first base. Puts 2 on. Then on a 2-strike pitch, Sal Frelick reaches on a catcher's interference because the runners were going. Diaz tried to get to the ball quickly and kind of came out of his crouch, and it was clear as day. Catcher's interference. It knocked off Diaz's mitt. The base is loaded. Okay, and then you have the go-ahead run 90 feet away. Sac fly brings in a run. Bloop single brings in another run. Padres trailing 3-1. There wasn't anything that crazy in that inning. Again, it was a walk, an infield single, a catcher's interference, a sac fly, and boom. Just like that, you're trailing. Again, small margin for error when you're playing these close games. Now, to the Padres' credit, huge hit for Luis Ariz in the top of the ninth inning. Padres down to their final strike, a 2-run double down the left field line. Huge, huge swing. But then in the bottom half of the ninth inning, tied at 3, David Morgan comes in. Big spot for the rookie right-hander, who has been very impressive so far. And in a spot where you get it, he's trying to get ahead with his fastball. And I didn't even think it was a bad pitch from Morgan. It was a fastball, but it was up. I mean, and Durbin's not a tall guy. I mean, it was up by his shoulders. And to Durbin's credit, he was ready for the fastball wherever it was, and he turned it around and hit it out for a walk-off home run. So, look, that's a spot again where if you're David Morgan and you're throwing a first pitch fastball, well, you better put it in a place where a guy can't turn it around for a home run, or really at any point in that inning, somebody could have hit a home run and then ended the game. Again, does a little bit of it fall on the pitching? Sure. But when your offense isn't clicking and you're living on, for the most part, a run, 2 runs, 3 runs a night, you're constantly playing games that are so close, in part because your offense isn't really going all together. You're going to have games like this. And to the Padres' credit, and we've seen it throughout this road trip, they have also found ways to win a lot of these games. But you're also going to have games like this where it's the other side of the coin, where if you're not going to score very many runs, my point is, it leaves so little margin for error for your pitching staff and your bullpen. Stephen Kolek was really good today, 5 2/3 scoreless innings. Couldn't have asked for more today from Stephen Kolek. And look, the bullpen was shaky at times, but again, I drew out what happened in that 8th inning. It's not like Jason Adam got hit around. He didn't. It was a walk. It was an infield single. It was catcher's interference and a sac fly, and the Padres were trailing. So the point of the open here is to just highlight the importance of the Padres offense getting going. You can look at this game and say, oh, well, the Padres had a late lead, couldn't find a way to hold it, gave up a lead. Brewers take the lead, then walk-off home run. Okay, that's one way to look at it. But again, it is a very, very difficult way to play when you're just not generating that many runs and you're playing so many close games. And the Padres have more one-run wins than any team in baseball. So, yeah, they've done a good job at winning these types of games. But when you're not scoring, man, it just leaves just so little margin for error. And at least to me, that's what I feel like happened in this game here today. Padres lose it 4-3 on the walk-off home run by the Brewers' Caleb Durbin in the bottom half of the 9th inning. When we come back, we'll have a full game recap. We'll go back to Milwaukee, hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt as the Brew Crew wins the middle game of this 3-game set, sets up a rubber match of this series tomorrow. We'll have more on that a little bit later here on the Padres Radio Network.
The digital
Our post-game coverage continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Final score in Milwaukee today, the Brewers 4 and the Padres 3. Sam Levitt back with you inside our San Diego studios as we continue to wrap this one up. We'll go back to American Family Field in Milwaukee, here from Padres manager Mike Shildt coming up in just a little bit. First, let's recap this one from start to finish.
Which moments determine the outcome of today's game? We'll paint you a picture with our game highlights on the Padres Radio Network.
Both starting pitchers were good to begin the game. Stephen Kolek dealt with base runners in each of the first 3 innings, but he used a couple of double plays behind him to get through 3 scoreless. Jose Quintana dealt with a runner on base in the first and 2 on base in the second, but he also got through 3 scoreless frames. So we had no score as we went to the 4th inning. Jackson Merrill hit a leadoff single. He went to second on a 1-out walk. There were still runners on first and second, 2 men away for Elias Diaz.
3-1, the pitch. Swings, hits it hard through the left side and a base hit. Merrill rounding third on his way. Collins' throw is coming home and not in time. 2 out, RBI single, Elias Diaz. And the Padres have the first run of the night.
That's all the Padres scored in the 4th inning. Kolek was dialed in, a 1-2-3 4th. He worked around a walk in the 5th inning. Kolek then got the first 2 outs of the 6th inning, but then some trouble. Christian Yelich walked. William Contreras singled. That sent Yelich to third base. With the left-handed hitting, Sal Frelick coming up. Mike Shildt brought in Adrian Morejon. Morejon got a little tapper right at home plate. A fair ball. Frelick never moved. Padres got the out. The inning was over. We went to the bottom half of the 7th inning. Padres still leading 1-0. Jeremiah Estrada came in. He gave up a 1-out single, then a soft grounder up the middle. Second baseman Jose Iglesias went to the shortstop side of second to get it, made a low throw to first base. Jake Cronenworth couldn't dig it out. It bounced far enough away to allow Isaac Collins to go all the way to third base. That advance by Collins to third was significant. Jake Bauers then pinch hit in the number 9 spot.
2-2. The pitch is swung on, sent in the air, high and deep to right center field. Merrill is into the gap. He'll make the catch. That's deep enough to get Collins home. He will tag and score. A sacrifice fly for Jake Bauers in the pinch. The first Brewer run of the series, and a 1-1 game here in the 7th inning.
Estrada got a ground out to end the inning. We were tied at 1 going to the 8th inning. Padres didn't score in the top of the 8th. Jason Adam then came in for the bottom half. He got the first out, but then a walk on a 3-2 pitch, an infield single on an 0-2 pitch, catcher's interference on a 2-strike pitch. So all of a sudden, the bases were all loaded up with 1 out for Rhys Hoskins.
Adams delivers. That's in the air to left field deep. Sheets backing up. He'll make the catch. Yelich is tagging. The throw will come into third base. A sacrifice fly for Rhys Hoskins. And for the first time this series, the Brewers have a lead. It's 2-1.
Brewers weren't done. Isaac Collins was next.
2-1 Milwaukee in the 8th. First pitch is off the end of the bat in the air to shallow left field. Sheets on the move. Not going to get there. Just dunks down in front of him. Contreras will score as the throw goes to third. Machado tags out Frelick to end the inning. But a bloop base hit for Isaac Collins brings home another run. And the Brewers going to head to the 9th inning with a 3-1 lead here in Milwaukee.
So the Padres were leading 1-0 going to the bottom half of the 7th inning. They were trailing 3-1 going to the 9th inning. Brewers closer Trevor McGill came in. The Padres put 2 on with 2 out. Tyler Wade and Xander Bogaerts pulled off a double steal to move the tying runs into scoring position. Luis Arraez dug in. The count went to 3-2. The Padres were down to their final strike.
McGill is ready. Here's the pitch. Luis swings, hits it in the air to left field. Collins over back towards the corner. Not going to get there. A fair ball as it rattles into the corner. Both runs have scored. Arraez into second with a game-tying double with 2 outs here in the 9th.
What would you expect from Luis Arraez?
A big swing for Luis. It tied the game at 3, but Manny Machado grounded out to end the inning. So we were tied at 3 going to the bottom half of the 9th inning. The Padres went to rookie right-hander David Morgan. The Brewers' Caleb Durbin led off.
Morgan's first pitch to him, swung on, hit in the air, deep to left center field. Merrill is back into the gap at the wall. It's going to go. First pitch of the bottom of the 9th inning, a walk-off home run for Caleb Durbin. only his second home run of the season. And the Brewers go deep for the first time this series, a 4-3 victory on the first pitch in the bottom of the ninth.
Morgan threw it at 98, but Durbin was ready for it. Very first pitch in the bottom half of the ninth inning. Durbin sending the fans home in Milwaukee happy. And that was that here today. Final score, Brewers 4 and the Padres 3. With the win, the Brew Crew improves to a record of 35 and 30. The Padres drop to 36 and 27. When we come back on our post-game coverage, we'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt after the Padres drop the middle game of this 3-game series. Our daily awards, full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, and your phone calls coming up a little bit later as well. Final, Brewers 4, Padres 3. Our post-game coverage continues after this. Welcome back to the Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show, brought to you by the all-new Jamul Casino Resort. Players, kickstart your summer of fun with Jamul Casino Resort's Players Party Saturday, June 14th. I've said this a few times in this past week. Had the great opportunity to go out to the new Jamul Casino Resort earlier this week. Had a wonderful lunch inside the Tony Gwynn Sports Pub, and then got a nice little tour of the new resort. Saw the spa, the pool. It's not open yet. Got a little sneak peek. And man, it's going to be really, really cool when it opens. Beautiful, beautiful new resort. The casino open as always, and great in there as well. So looking forward to that. Be sure to check out the Players Party on Saturday, June 14th. Tough one here today for the Padres as they fall by a final score of 4-3. Caleb Durbin, a walk-off home run in the bottom half of the ninth inning on the very first pitch that David Morgan threw in the bottom of the ninth inning. Padres had fight. They had a 2-run double from Luis Arraez when they were down to their final strike in the top of the ninth inning to tie the game at 3, but we were not tied for long. And I know in the opening segment, I talked a lot about the dangers of playing so many close games. And I think the larger point, the dangers of when your offense just isn't producing a ton of runs day by day, which the Padres aren't right now. They're playing a lot of low-scoring games, a lot of close games, and when you win those games, like the Padres have done at times on this road trip, it's great. You find ways to win despite your offense not really clicking. But when you lose those games, it just highlights the very, very little margin for error that you have in very, very tight games. And I'll give you a stat that sort of proves the number of close games the Padres have played this year. Padres, out of their 63 games now, have played 35 games decided by 1 or 2 runs. So over half their games this year have been decided by just 1 or 2 runs. The Padres are good in close games. They're now 22-13 in 1 or 2 run games after today's loss. But again, and we talked about the 8th inning, the way the Brewers rallied, the fact that it was by a walk, an infield single, a catcher's interference, just leaves you very little room for error for your pitching staff, for your defense when you're not scoring a ton. And again, the Padres only scored 3 today, 2 yesterday. They got 2 runs on Thursday in San Francisco. Remember, they had 5 runs on Wednesday in San Francisco, but lost that game after having a 5-0 lead. 3 runs on Tuesday, 1 run on Monday. The point being, it's just hasn't been an explosive offense. And when you don't have that, well, you're going to play a lot of tight games, and it's going to leave your pitching staff and your defense very, very little room for error. And at least to me, that's kind of what stands out from this game, including David Morgan coming in the 9th inning. Hey, if he's going to throw a fastball first pitch and Durbin's going to be ready for it, you better put it in a spot where he can't hit it out. And Durbin was ready for it, turned it around at 98 miles an hour and hit it out to left center for a walk-off home run. So with all that in mind, let's go back to Milwaukee at American Family Field and hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Served up by Sin Lee Food, where fresh meets flavor. Find farm fresh produce, bold Asian spices, and gourmet ingredients at 4665 El Cajon Boulevard. Sin Lee Food, the cook's Asian resource.
A lot of activity to get back into it, and then you're bringing a strike thrower, and it's over pretty quickly. What did you think about the flurry of activity in the last few innings there?
I mean, I think he just described it, didn't he?
Okay. You have brought Robert in some of these situations. He was warming up. Was Robert someone that you wanted to wait?
Robert was when he was ready for a lead. He was there for a lead tonight. We didn't want to bottom of the order, different part of the order, maybe Robert. But like with Yuki the other day, took down a lane that felt like a tough spot for Morgan, but he's throwing the ball exceptionally well. Like you said, strike thrower, and Durbin put a swing on. Simple as that.
Jason could probably not have been more victimized there in the.
Yeah, Jason was good. We got him the 2 days off. He was good. The walk to Yelich, he's pitching him tough, and he worked the walk, and the catcher's interference and a couple balls that just fell. So, baseball happened, but Jason was sharp today.
Was Tatis in play at all as a pinch hitter?
No, he day off. Sometimes you don't get called in for work.
Okay. And how about Kolek? This is another dominant performance on the road. You see anything that's making his performance on the road so much better than it is at home?
Not necessarily. I think it's probably, at least for me, too early to categorize road or home. But I do appreciate the fact he's able to pitch on the road and pitch well. And, this is a nice Saturday night crowd, back and forth game, 2 good teams, and threw the ball really well and earned the opportunity to grab Yelich, and knowing that Contreras is, he's pitched throwing the ball well. He's on the ground. He got the ground ball single, and Morejon bailed him out. But Steven threw the ball exceptionally well.
These close games, like every single play seems to matter. Did you feel like he was just trying to protect a foul ball, the hit that knocked the glove off of Diaz?
He's looking to run. They're running. He's looking to, grab the ball, make a throw. I haven't looked at it clearly. We just got through playing, but man, he was really steep with that swing.
The throw by Iglesias, it was a great play to get there.
Yep.
And then if he doesn't get there, run scores anyway. Is
Right.
that how you saw that play?
I think we were,
or maybe it doesn't score, but
I don't think the run scores, but he made a play and couldn't keep it, couldn't execute the backside of it. But, an athletic play. Our guys, man, what a gritty game, man. What guys fought their tails off, man. Down 3-1, tough bottom of the 8th, come up top of the 9th, and just not a guy out there. And we got some guys that are just, they're against every single fiber they've got. And I got so much respect for it. And, seeing the game well, and, Wadey and Bogey, the double steal, Louis, boom, big 2-strike, obviously 2 RBIs. And but our guys are grinding, man. I couldn't be more proud of the guys who were in the fight tonight.
You and Ricky went and checked on Louis in the 9th. Was there something?
Well, the same thing.
I'm sorry.
Same thing he's been dealing with. That's why he's going DH.
Right.
He's posting for us, man. Can't ask for much more, but a little compromised, but not something that medically or he feels like it's going to be compromising moving forward. But that's why he was able to just go ahead and grab third and be able to score easily on a single.
You talked about it before the game, having a rise and Bogarts at the top of the lineup came into play in the 9th.
Yeah, I thought it was good. Bogey had a good bats, base hit, worked the wall. Guys, they're back in their bullpens, like most bullpens, good arms. And, Diaz with a good swing, played his tail off. Bogey works the walk, Wadey beats it out, and then, the double steal. But Bogey and Louis were really good at the top tonight.
That was Padres manager Mike Shildt after this 4-3 loss to the Brewers in Milwaukee on this Saturday. Sam Levitt back with you inside our San Diego studios as we continue to wrap this one up. Let's touch on a couple of things that Mike Shildt alluded to there. And I thought a good question about Robert Suarez, who was warming up in the 9th inning. And look, in that situation, the textbook managerial strategy is typically in a tie game, you're not going to use your closer on the road. You're going to use him if and when you hopefully have a lead. So I was not surprised that Mike Shildt didn't go to Robert Suarez in that spot. Now, look, it's a big spot for David Morgan, who's a rookie. And I don't even know that he made a mistake to Durbin. He threw a fastball and Durbin turned it around at 98 up in the zone. I didn't think it was a horrible pitch. It's not like Morgan, it was center cut. It was up, but tried to clearly get ahead with the fastball, and Durbin was ready for it. It's a big spot for David Morgan, making his 5th appearance in the major leagues. It is. But I'm just telling you, kind of conventional thinking there from a manager perspective, they're not going to use their closer in a tie game in that spot. And I do think the reasoning there for Mike Shildt was pretty sound. I mean, you look at it where the part of the order was, it was Durbin and then Monasterio and then Terang. And the way Mike Shildt explained it, maybe you were saving Robert there. You knew if you were going to win the game, you were going to have to get it to extra innings. And let's say you do take a lead in the 10th inning. Well, then you got Churio, Yelich, Contreras, heart of the order due up if Morgan gets through that inning. So, look, I understand if you're out there saying, well, on the other hand, you never even get an opportunity to use Suarez. I'm just telling you, most managers, I would say like 95% of the time or higher, are not going to put their closer in a tie game on the road in the bottom half of the 9th inning. And I do see what Mike's saying there as far as the part of the lineup. And there was a lane there for Morgan to try to squeeze through that bottom half of the 9th inning without trying to use Robert Suarez, and it didn't work out. Morgan gave up a home run on the very first pitch. It's a big spot for him. Didn't work out. But I really don't fault the logic there. I don't. And, look, the Padres had already used Morejon, Estrada, and Adam, right? Those are the other guys you're probably going to use in that kind of spot if you can, but they were all used earlier in the game. So that does make sense to me. I had the same question about Fernando Tatis Jr. We knew Fernando was getting an off day today. I'll be honest with you, when Tyler Wade was pinch hitting in the 9th inning, the thought crossed my mind immediately, hey, you got the tying run at the plate here. Maybe it's a spot for Fernando, but clearly the Padres wanted to give Fernando a full day off and not ask him to play today. So, hey, that's their prerogative. That kind of felt like a spot where he could have made an appearance in this game representing the tying run where one swing could tie it. Padres ended up tying it anyway, to their credit, but they wanted to give him a full day off, after some of these struggles he's been through in the last month, and that's what they did. Another item that was discussed there, and it really hasn't come up in my conversation about the small margin for error in playing these close games. I talked a lot about the 8th inning and the 9th inning, but when the Padres were leading 1-0 in the bottom half of the 7th inning, you could also bring it up there because there's a walk to Yelich, and this is with Estrada on the mound. A walk to Yelich, Padres leading 1-0. Contreras hits that ball to the left of second. Now, I thought Jose Iglesias was too aggressive there, going to the left side of second to get that. I'm not sure the Padres would have got Contreras at first base either way, but at least with Bogaerts, he's moving in the right direction and maybe doesn't make a low throw that Jake then can't, and it was low and wide, that Jake can't dig out at first base, and it bounces away and then gets Yelich to third. And guess what? Yelich, excuse me. You know what? I take it back. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong half inning here. Let me rewind here for a second. It's the same plays, but different batters. It was Collins who reached on a single, then the infield single for Durbin. Same play, different players. Durbin reaches on the infield single. Iglesias crosses over to the left side of second base. Again, Bogaerts to me has the better play on it. And then Iglesias kind of compounds what was over aggressiveness by then making a low throw that Jake can't handle and then bounces away. And that allows Collins to go to third. And that was significant because it put him on third base with one out. And the next thing you know, Bowers hits a sac fly. The game is tied. So that was also, again, was it the end of the game there? Is it why the Padres lost this game? No. But again, it's just, to me, it symbolizes the really, really, really fine, small margins that exist when you're playing these close games. You can't afford to make a low throw to third base. First base. You can't afford to allow a runner to move up because that could lead to your opposition tying the game, So, again, just kind of another example. I've said it a bunch of times already. I just thought the late innings in this game really showcased kind of the downfalls of playing so many close games and this very little margin for error that your pitching and your defense has when you're just not scoring a lot of runs, and kind of went that way here tonight with the Brewers winning it 4-3. We'll step aside. When we come back, we'll continue to break this one down. If you want to get a phone call in, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Phone number to call. Again, the final score, Brewers 4 and the Padres 3. You're listening to the Padres Radio Network. Our Jamul Casino Resort Padres postgame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Final score, the Brewers 4 and the Padres 3 as the Padres drop the middle game of this series. They will play for a series win tomorrow. It'll be right-hander Ryan Bergert on the mound for the Padres tomorrow. We're going to have Padres and pancakes tomorrow, I'll tell you that. Bright and early start time. We'll have more on that game coming up a little bit later. Let's get to some of our daily awards. Let's tell you about today's relief pitcher of the game.
Which pitcher entered the game and slammed the door shut? This is today's relief pitcher of the game, presented by David P. Shapiro Criminal Defense Attorneys. When your freedom and future are on the line, you need the best arm in the pen. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com.
Well, our relief pitcher of the game here tonight, we'll keep it on the Padres side of things because we can. And you know what? I think it's well-deserved. Adrian Morejon did a nice job. Didn't really throw that many pitches at all, 2 pitches. But you know what? Padres had a 1-0 lead in the 6th inning. Runners on first and third. Big spot, Sal Frelick at the plate. And Morejon got a little tapper right at home plate. In fact, it kind of stayed on home plate long enough for Elias Diaz to pick it up, make a throw to first base. Frelick never ran. He was confused. Brewers didn't think it was a fair ball, but on the replay, pretty clearly fair, and stayed on home plate enough for Diaz to make the play. 2-3 put out, and just like that, Adrian Morejon was out of the 6th inning. So for that little appearance, big out, Adrian Morejon, our relief pitcher of the game on the Padres side of things here today. Let's play today's catch of the game.
Which defensive play had the biggest impact on today's game?
He is at the wall, leaps up, and he makes the catch.
This is the catch of the game.
Gonna hang a star for Jackson Merrill.
Reeled in by Anthony's Fish Grotto La Mesa, celebrating 80 years of seafood excellence.
Stop me if you've heard this before, but it's a long season. Churio, ground ball sharply to short. Bogarts flips to second one. Iglesias to first in time. And for the second straight inning, an inning-ending double play.
Our catch of the game, a 6-4-3 double play in the bottom half of the third. Stephen Kolek getting through 3 scoreless innings with that double play. Had 2 double plays, both 6-4-3 behind him in the second and the third. A part of 5 2/3 scoreless innings for Stephen Kolek in this one today, and that is today's catch of the game. Also gives us a good opportunity to talk about Stephen Kolek. We have not talked about him a ton because of what happened in the later innings of this game, but Steven continues to be good and continues to develop as a really nice story for the Padres here in 2025 as a former Rule 5 pick. He's got a 3 ERA even now in 7 starts. He went 5 2/3 scoreless innings today. Wasn't perfect. 3 hits given up, walked 4, got in a little trouble, struck out 2, but found his way out of it. Got some help there from Morejon on the catch of the game to get through 5 2/3 scoreless today. But Kolek was really good and deserves credit for what he continues to do. Again, 7 starts in, 42 innings. He's got a 3 ERA. He's been really, really, really effective, and it's been a really nice story for this team. I think you feel very good right now, and Stephen Kolek is on the mound. He's been effective. He's, for the most part, despite walking 4 today, in command, and good stuff from Stephen Kolek. Certainly pitched well enough to win this game, or to at least have the Padres win it. So good stuff from Stephen Kolek. Wanted to make sure we talked about him on our post-game coverage. Phone number 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Lead things off on the phones tonight on this Saturday. Let's go to Ramona. It's Charles calling in. Charles, welcome in.
Hi, how are you doing tonight?
Doing well.
Hi. So, I don't understand the move. I know why I'm not putting Suarez in, but did we not have any other arms available to us other than Morgan? Someone who's a rookie. He's only got a fastball. His other pitches aren't really quite there yet, I don't think. So the batters knows what's coming. That's bound to happen. And tomorrow is a bullpen day, so if you're going to reach for a victory, tonight would have been the day to do it, because tomorrow you're going to be. So I just don't understand.
Charles. Yeah, Charles, and appreciate the phone call. Look, I understand that there will be people out there saying, "Hey, saying, hey, I understand the conventional manager thinking there is to not bring in your closer in a tie game on the road in the bottom half of the ninth inning. I get that. Well, I understand that's the conventional wisdom there, and there will be fans out there that say, but hey, you can't worry about later innings if you can't get through the bottom half of the ninth inning, and you might as well bring in Suarez to make sure you get the extras. I understand that. I'm just telling you, a lot of managers aren't going to do that. You heard Mike Shildt say in the postgame, Robert was there for a lead, and they also felt like they wanted to try to get through the bottom part of the order without having to go to Suarez. I do understand that line of thinking. Again, the argument against that, Charles, to your point, is, well, you can't worry about extra innings if you can't get there. And the Padres never got there, and that is the argument against it. Look, I don't have a huge problem with what they did, but I get it. I get the argument against it. I understand if you're a fan out there looking at the other side of it and saying, well, you never got the extra innings, so you had a close game where you never threw Robert Suarez. Now, if you weren't going to use Suarez, what were your options? Well, Morgan was one of them. You could have used Yuki Matsui, although he had two right-handed batters there in Durbin and Monasterio to begin that inning, so I kind of understand why they didn't want to go to Yuki. Again, you had two lefties there, Matsui, Peralta, Wandy, could have gone to him. Sean Reynolds threw the 45 pitches on Tuesday. That would have been an interesting option. I would say if you weren't going to use Morgan there, Reynolds would have been interesting there. I'm okay with that. If you want to kind of, second guess that, fine. It didn't work out. They tried to avoid Suarez there, and unfortunately, they brought in Morgan, who gave up the home run. But I do understand, Charles, the reasoning for trying to avoid Suarez in a tie game and with that part of the order up. I do understand the reasoning. But yeah, look, if you want to say, hey, I trust Sean Reynolds more than David Morgan, if it's got to be a righty, okay. I can buy that. And look, they decided to go to Morgan, and it didn't work out. And I don't really have anything else other than to say sometimes that's going to happen when you play a lot of close games like the Padres are doing right now. Well, step aside. Full look at the out-of-town scoreboard when we come back. If you want to get another phone call in, 833-288-0973. Final score, the Brew Crew 4 and the Pods 3 on the Padres Radio Network. Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Final score, Brewers 4 and the Padres 3 on this Saturday. Final game of this series and this road trip. Tomorrow morning, we'll have more on that coming up in a little bit. Full look at the out-of-town scoreboard in just a little bit as well. Play the game, wrap things up, get you ready for tomorrow. But let's squeeze in one more phone call here on this Saturday evening. Appreciate you joining us. We go to Josh calling in from San Diego. Josh, welcome in.
Hey, thanks for having me. How's it going?
You got it. I'm doing well, Josh.
Sweet. Yeah, I wanted to talk about a couple of things.
Mm-hmm.
One positive being how much of a tear Manny Machado is on right now.
Yep.
And what a joy it is to watch him and his at-bats. I was taking a look at his Baseball Savant page the other day,
Mm-hmm.
and what really struck me was just how well he's just hitting his WOBA or whatever it's called is just really, really high. And overall, I'm just feeling really positive that he can just put the team on his back, similar to like 2022. And it's really exciting to see after last year was a little bit up and down. So I didn't know if you had any thoughts on Manny and how he's been performing so far this year.
Yeah, Josh, I totally agree with you. He's been terrific, and appreciate the phone call, Josh. He's been terrific. I mean, you look at his last 15 games, he's got hits in 14 out of 15. He's hitting 356 in that span, 6 home runs, 12 RBIs, 2 doubles. He's got a 1095 OPS. He's top 5 in the National League as far as batting average. I mean, he's having a really, really good year. For a while, the power numbers obviously weren't where you want him to be, but now he's at 9 home runs. I mean, slowly but surely, in kind of typical Manny fashion. By the way, he's actually ranked 3rd now in batting average in the NL after tonight. He's been very, very, very good. And look, the problem right now for the Padres, it's not Manny Machado. I mean, it's not even close to Manny Machado. He's doing everything he can, and he's hitting the ball hard, to your point, Josh. So I'm not surprised that his Baseball Savant page is probably lit up in red because he's hitting it hard. And, the power number's a little bit lower than what you would expect, but it's not that far off now. He's getting them up again. He's hitting home runs with more regularity. He's been really, really, really good. Now he just needs the guys around him to follow suit, because it's hard for Manny to do it on his own, and nobody else in the lineup right now is really, doing what Manny's doing. Josh, I'll let you get back in. It sounded like you had another point. Go ahead.
Yeah, my other point was also to talk about Xander in the leadoff spot. And I really thought that was kind of an interesting look with Nando getting the rest day. And obviously Nando's been having a little bit of struggles, but I'm wondering, what are your thoughts on maybe shuffling around and maybe having Xander lead off a couple games? It seems like, the problems might be a little minimized. He sometimes tends to hit in double plays, etc. So it might be kind of nice to have him up front occasionally, depending on the matchup. And if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, Josh, look, you could sell me on pretty much anything right now. Now, I'm not going to say sell me on having Manny hit 8th or having Fernando hit 9th. Like, you're not going to sell me on anything crazy. But could you sell me right now on shaking this thing up a little bit based on the offense not clicking for a few weeks now? You could. You wanted to try Xander leading off and see if that puts him in the right direction. Fine. You want to see if you like Arise in the leadoff spot and Fernando hitting 2nd. Fine. You could convince me of some things right now to try to shake it up a little bit and get your offense going again. So you could sell me in a lot right now to try to shake it up, because they, collectively, and I've gotten into these numbers before. If you go back to the 21-run game in Colorado, you look at the offensive numbers after that, it's not very pretty. I'm going to spare it for you right now, but it's not pretty. So, and again, to me, of all the things for the Padres right now, and there are concerns. I mean, I'm going to, again, spare you right now as we kind of get towards the end of our post-game show. But of all the things, to me, getting this offense going, getting Fernando going, getting Merrill going, getting more of the bottom of the lineup to contribute, to me, that is the most important thing for this team in the big picture of this summer and this season, is getting this offense going. Because I do think they have a lot of things good. I mean, the bullpen's been great. I know they've got injuries starting wise, but they're holding their own. But if they could hit more, score more runs, period, I think you'd win plenty of games this summer. I really do. So to me, that is item number one on the things that need to happen for the Padres. They got to get this offense going. So Josh, to your point, you could tell me I'm trying something else. I mean, you could. So we'll see. We'll see how much longer Fernando's in the leadoff spot. I don't know that there's going to be any plan to move him out of there if he continues to struggle. It was interesting today. He got a day off against the lefty. Had an opportunity to pinch hit if they wanted him to, representing the tying run of the ninth inning. They didn't do it. It really appeared that they wanted Fernando to get a full day off today. And I do wonder if that's just about the struggles he's had. And they said, you know what? He needs a day. And we don't care what happens in this game. We don't care what situation presents itself where he might fit in. And there was a spot there. He needs a day. And we'll see if it does him good, assuming Fernando's back in the lineup tomorrow. Final score, Brewers 4 and the Padres 3. Let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
We take a look at the out-of-town scoreboard. We have some games still going on. We have most of the games final today. Cubs beat the Tigers 6-1 in Detroit. 5 home runs in that game for the Cubbies. Blue Jays beat the Twins 5-4 in Minnesota. The Cardinals beat the Dodgers 2-1 in St. Louis. A walk-off hit for Nolan Arenado in that game in St. Louis. Pirates beat the Phillies 2-1 in Pittsburgh. Rangers beat the Nationals 5-0 in D.C. Jacob deGrom looking like classic deGrom. 7 scoreless innings, 8 strikeouts in that game for Texas. Giants beat the Braves 3-2 in San Francisco. Reds beat the Diamondbacks 13-1 today in Cincinnati. They did finish up their game from Friday that got suspended due to rain, and the Reds won that game earlier in the day 4-3, a walk-off double in the 10th inning by Christian Encarnacion Strand. So the Reds get 2 wins in one day. Astros beat the Guardians 5-3 in Cleveland in 10. Marlins over the Rays 11-10 in 10. White Sox beat the Royals 4-1 in Chicago. Red Sox beat the Yankees 10-7 in the Bronx, and that is a full look at the finals. The game's going on right now. Angels lead the Mariners 6-5 in Anaheim in the 6th inning. Mets over the Rockies 4-1 in Colorado in the 7th. Ronnie Mauricio, young player for the Mets, his first home run of the year in that game. A's beat the Orioles 4-3 in Sacramento, or I should say beating the Orioles 4-3 in the 5th inning in Sacramento. And now a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this on this Saturday. And by the way, with the Dodgers losing, the Padres did have an opportunity to pull even in first place in the NL West today, but they could not do it. So the Padres will remain 1 game out of first. And oh, by the way, the Dodgers come to town for the start of a 3-game series at Petco Park on Monday. Let's hear tonight's play of the game.
The line between winning and losing can be razor thin. Which play was the difference between victory and defeat? This is today's Play of the Game, presented by Bill Howe Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
Yes, first pitch to him, swung on, hit in the air, deep to left center field. Merrill is back into the gap, at the wall. It's going to go. First pitch of the bottom of the 9th inning, a walk-off home run for Caleb Durbin. Only his 2nd home run of the season. And the Brewers go deep for the first time this series. A 4-3 victory on the first pitch in the bottom of the 9th.
Our play of the game, Caleb Durbin, a walk-off home run, the very first pitch that David Morgan throws in the bottom half of the 9th inning, a 98-mile-per-hour fastball up in the zone. Wouldn't have been a strike, would have been a ball, but Durbin was ready for it, hit it out, walk-off home run, and that was it here tonight. Brewers win it by a final score of 4-3. As always, if you missed any portion of our post-game coverage, you can go back and listen to all of it on the Inside San Diego Baseball podcast with Sam Levitt, available on the Odyssey app or wherever you find your podcasts. If you would rather go back and watch any portion of our post-game coverage, you can do that on the 97.3 The Fan YouTube channel. Taking a look ahead to tomorrow. First pitch is bright and early early, 10:05 a.m. tomorrow. Our pregame coverage begins at 9:05. Right-hander Ryan Bergert on the mound for the Padres. Right-hander Aaron Savali on the mound for the Brew Crew. And a reminder for you, part of the reason the game is so early tomorrow, well, it is a nationally televised game. So same deal where we will have your only local coverage here on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. So if you're somebody who typically wants to watch the game, we always encourage you to listen here on 97.3 The Fan, but you can always join me for your only local pre- and post-game coverage here for Mike Shildt after the game. Only place you'll find that. Again, we're on the air tomorrow morning at 9:05 a.m. for what we like to call a little Padres and Pancakes. So we'll talk to you bright and early tomorrow. Taking a look at the final totals here tonight for the Brewers: 4 runs, 8 hits, no errors. They left on 7. For the Padres, 3 runs, 8 hits, 2 errors. They left on 9. Winning pitcher in this game, Trevor McGill, who improves to 1-2. Losing pitcher was David Morgan, who drops to 0-1. Time of game, 2 hours and 51 minutes. And the crowd at American Family Field in Milwaukee, 37,032. Once again, first pitch tomorrow, 10:05 a.m. Our pregame coverage begins at 9:05. Until then, for our great studio coordinator, Nick Danucci, I'm Sam Levitt saying so long and good night from inside our San Diego studios. Again, the final score here today, the Milwaukee Brewers 4 and the San Diego Padres 3. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning right here on the Padres Radio Network. Have a great night, everybody.